to another episode of the Ramblings of Designer podcast. This is a weekly podcast where we talk about the latest in graphic design news from around the web. My name is Adam. I'm a designer from the San Francisco Bay Area. I specialize in visual UI design with a little bit of illustration. I like to give companies character. And every week I'm joined by my co-host Terry. How's it going, Terry?
Hey, it's going.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, as Adam said, my name is Terry. I'm a UX UI designer from the Bay Area, and I help bridge the gap between products and their end users. And you're gonna have to excuse me. I was feeling a little bit under the weather today, so if I am a little slow more than usual, then you know why.
I think you just have holiday-itis like I do. It's like,
Oh God, it starts with somebody's friend's kids being sick, and
yeah.
and they just say hi and they pass that over, and then number one gets it and they pass it over to number two, and then number one and number two, they're like hanging on you, and then after that you're like, oh, thanks. Great, I just
uh,
shared it. Great, I just shared everybody about the passing on one and twos.
well, let's just keep it going, Terry, and let us know how
Keep
your
it going. Yeah,
let us know how
see.
your week was.
Oh, besides that, just today we just slept. It was just like a very big blur. I don't know. Do they still have snow globes?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's
Is that a
still
thing still?
I think so.
Okay.
Right?
Well, imagine you're in a snow globe and you shake it really, really hard and you're trying to sleep and you have all these like things like hitting your head. Boom, bam, bang, bang, bang. You're like, that's how I felt today. But besides that, the week was good. Just trying to read a book and still answer questions from students and different people. I've had a couple, I think it was like, what, three last week that I talked to. They want to do a new career in UX. So that was very exciting to hear about their background and stuff. I learned a lot about like food, how like food is prepped and everything like that. I was like, holy crap. Like, okay, I'm not gonna eat that anymore. It was just like, it was really good because now it's like, okay, 2020 is coming. Okay, maybe better eating, better this. It's like, that might be a good thing to do. So, other than that, Adam, how was your week?
I know. I'm trying to, nothing really spectacular happened last week. Just the same old. Still working on that illustration project. So that's been still doing its thing. And other than that, not too much. Been keeping it pretty light. So unfortunately, no big news.
Light is good. And
Yeah, like I said, I'm trying to take
some time
December
off.
a little bit slow. I want to, like anticipate it coming. Like I said, the holidays always creep up on me, and then I always forget, and then like the week comes, I'm like, oh, right, I completely forgot that that's the holiday tomorrow. So, I want to remember, want to, you know, be ready, prepare more. Oh well. Anyway, let's jump right into the news. Terry,
Okay.
what do you got for us?
Well, talking about 2020, which is what, 2 weeks? Two and a
Yeah,
half weeks now. Oh my God. 2.5 weeks is going to be 2020. Isn't that just utterly insane?
it's creeping up on us again, right? I gotta pay more attention. It's coming fast.
Oh my God. I mean, after this week, then next week, and then it'll be Christmas. Oh no, no, I'm sorry. Holidays, because everybody doesn't celebrate Christmas. So,
Mhm.
so the season of joy, I will say. How's that? God, season of joy is coming. Okay, so yes. I'm sorry, I got off sidetracked. The state of UX in 2020, and it's funny because they said we've seen a lot this year, And after sharing 2,411 links with X amount of designers, which is a lot of designers around the world. So this is what they expect UX for 2020. I really like the graphic. It's really cute because it looks like they're cutting out and they're putting them shape of boxes and they construct 2020 out of it. So
Mm.
um, it's this article is it's basically overall UX design as a discipline, right? So um, so number one, designing for the post-truth era. So they mentioned it was the rise and fall of fake videos and misinformation being driven out to different agendas, and that does make us question: is it real or is it fake? And they have a example of Donald Trump's tweet, and you can read more than that. I try to get out of politics, but that is just the example that they have for there. And then designing for transparency. So we're living in the era of fragment truths, right? Is this real or is it not real? But but they did mention in the article, how can we possibly compress all of the contradictories um, reality bubbles into a single history textbook? I don't know. Do we? Is that the post truth present or what? But actually, I'm sorry, Aaron Lewis actually wrote a quick article about that, and that's actually in there. And then, and then they say there's a threat that affects every industry, and I don't know if that's true, but what could be a threat, right? Um, Now they're saying the internet had made us all cynics, right? Like every company this way or that way is being forced to operate more carefully in order to actually regain our trust and actually prevent the spread of misinformation. So, but then again, we kind of knew that because it's the internet. You know, you just don't believe what you read on the internet, right? So, uh, number two, the rise of communities, meaning it's a promise of a large online communities where designers can talk freely and learn from one to each other. But they're saying it really hasn't panned out. But instead, micro communities are on the rise. Pick one or two trusted colleagues, and then you select a few mentors after you're outside your bubble, and you build your own sounding board. Well, that's what I have right now. So I I think we're even doing that now, right? Because we have Slack, we have LinkedIn, we have Facebook, we have all these different kinds of groups that all designers they can interact and learn, right? So I think number two is really really cool. And then as you keep going down, I like number three, design as a team sport. So they said there's an old stereotype that the rockstar designer is thankfully going away. As digital teams grow and projects become more complex, we have to lean one another designer for another designer to be valued, to have a great collaboration. I think I think these silo designers, I think that is going out um, because now you have to work at a team, right, with each other. I know they're startups and they have smaller companies and they only have a UX team of one, but I'm sure that UX team of one, they have at least five different people of soundboards, right? So they make their own huddle, their own team. So as you continue to read the the article, um, the big question is, and Is 2020 the year when you're finally going to update your portfolio? Well, you know what? I did. So aha, I beat you there. But yeah, but actually, it just keeps on going on different subsets, of just everything else. It's like five. The death of design files. That's a very interesting one. And basically, I'm going to let you guys read that yourself because I can go on and on and on and on and on, and I don't think you want to hear me like completely babble and ramble and stuff. So, Adam, so what do you think about the whole article about 2020?
Yeah, this definitely was a really great read. And it seems like they do this every year, and they have been doing it for the past 5 years or so. And it's just a great kind of like discussion of, what is the state now, and how do we improve upon it, or what do we see that's going to affect us next year. When you talk about one where it's like we're worried about not only our privacy but the type of news that we're getting and how to filter that better, like that's going to be a main issue. Like I'm really hoping that we can find a way to address that next year, because yeah, it's definitely going to be something that's going to be crazy, right? With everybody that has the ability to edit videos and now even manipulate the videos so that it looks like somebody else's face on somebody else. So, you can have a lot of just bad false news out there. And what can we do to combat that? That's something that I'm definitely worried about. Like, what can we do to solve it, and what can design do to, be the leaders of trying to control, trying to find solutions for it. When they talk about those micro communities, yeah, I'm definitely seeing that now as well. I've been trying to find a great community myself. I haven't been able to find just a quite one that the one that I'm really looking for. I haven't been able to quite find it, but I have noticed that I've joined Discord groups, Slack groups, groups on Reddit, and all of them have their own different flavor and their own different kind of feel to them. And so I definitely like going to one for one reason, going for the other for another. So I like that. I like that they're kind of developing that way. And the more that we're out there searching, the better we'll get. When you talk about the design of the team, I wholeheartedly believe that. Like I feel like right now I'm being stretched with what I can do, with what I can deliver. And so if I had more people on my team, that would help me out a bunch, because there's only so much time. And then we know these skills, but we haven't done them in a while. And then so there's that kind of learning, having to relearn things that we've learned before. And so that takes a bit to do as well, or like you've done it but you're not an expert in it, and so now you're forced to spend more time in doing something you're not like 100% at. And so that takes time as well. So having a team to support you and to run ideas off of, I'm already seeing the benefit of that, and so having more of that will be great. And yeah, this definitely is a really chunky article. So, if there's any article to read this year, I would recommend this one.
I'm sorry, you said chunky. It reminds you like of the chunky soup,
Oh yeah,
right?
it's definitely a hearty, meaty, um, extra chicken article for you.
Chicken article. Sorry. Okay, no, you are definitely right. I think it has a lot of great information. So get your soup, get your popcorn, get your hot cocoa, and sit down and just read. So, Adam, what do you have for us?
I have another one, and this
Another
one's
one. What,
yeah,
chicken soup?
pretty much the same hardiness and chickenness, and talking about next year. This is from toptal.com, and it's called Looking at the Future Design Trends of 2020.
Ooh,
And so
cool.
Toptal also did created their own article about what we can see next year. A very kind of different from what we just heard, but it's still along the same lines. So I'm not going to read all of them, but I'll go through some of them. Right, number one is UX design clients will be intentional about ethical design, and it's just along the lines of I think it kind of goes along the lines of what we've been talking about, right? Where the idea of fake news and dark patterns and that there's going to be companies that are really putting their foot forward and saying, hey, we're not going to go that route. We're going to try to be honest and not force things upon you, and that'll be great to see that if that is a trend next year. He says speed readers will blitz digital. And so he's saying that he's been noticing speed readers kind of take shape and be more prevalent. And so maybe that'll be a big thing next year. Personally, for me, I would hope that it would be something more like offering of screen readers and having sound so I can hear things better and have the control to hear it faster. I'd prefer that, but because when I can find time to read articles is like when I'm waiting for the bus or, you know, um, throughout my day. So usually on my phone, and it's easier to hear the article than to have to read it and then read it fast on mobile. It seems kind of weird. Let's see. Number three, website overlays will go away. And I hope so, because I feel like in every website you have a bazillion pop-ups that happen in sequence and you know that they're coming, right? And it's always like, hey, sign up for our newsletter, log in, um, the GDPR, the chat bot will come in, a bunch of different overlays constantly. Every single site has these things and we don't need them. Right, like I get that we were talking before about you know if you get that 1% lift in customer engagement by having that pop up, is it worth it? I said yeah, maybe. But then it's also like the word, like that we have to find a better time to do it. I would say maybe check by how long the user's engaged in the site, and if they're there for a certain amount of time, then sure, hit them with that subscriber. Maybe that shows that they're interested. If they're there less than a minute, like don't bombard them as they're trying to leave. Hey, by the way, we need you have this pop-up. It's like, no, they're trying to leave. Give them a chance later to come back, or it seems I'm over overlays already. I want to get rid of it. Number four, he talks about that now logos will be more fluid or they'll be more cohesive, and he kind of gives the he kind of gives the example of what Google is doing and how Google offers a bunch of different logos and product offerings, and all of them kind of fit together in, like, you kind of tell it's a Google product by their color scheme, and just like the way that they have to design their logos. So that hopefully more companies will take that into consideration and um and design for that in the future or next year, which seems kind of quick to make that transition, but hopefully we'll see. Number five, e-commerce bots will go on a selling spree. And he says that one thing that chatbots are great for is selling, and so maybe you'll see these chatbots be more interactive and try to sell you things. I hope, I don't know, I want less chatbots or a better chatbots, and so if they can find a way to improve that, then sure. I don't know. Number six, AI will push web accessibility to the next level. And he's saying that maybe there'll be AIs that'll have services that'll help check your site to make sure that it's accessible, that it's compliant. And yeah, that's sure, that sounds great. I would love to see that. Um, I feel like that's why this whole design system trend is really big, and that's because it's one less thing to worry about. These systems, especially the ones that are made by these big companies, kind of have all that into their have all that considered already. And so maybe you don't have, it's one less thing to worry about. So I don't know. I can, but definitely having an AI that'll check for you sounds like a great idea. Number seven, light mode sites and apps will proliferate. Yeah, that makes sense. Things will be quicker to load. Say number eight, gaudy buttons will cry for attention. That now these CTAs, these links, these action item buttons will be even more obvious than they are now. And so, uh, hopefully not. I think that they're fine now, but we'll see. And it goes more. But the last one is that blue will be overthrown, and I can see that as well. He mentions that blue is certainly a classic. It's calm, comfortable, and reassuring, just like a pair of Wranglers. But good old blue isn't the color that will dominate in 2020. Yeah, and what you see a lot these days is where you'll have uh, a product shot all in one color, and then you'll see the background be that same color, or just a flood of color, and then you have that whole color scheme within the photo. And yeah, I definitely see that on Behance a lot, and so I can definitely see that working its way into our designs, especially since since we keep talking about how all sites are looking the same and stuff. So maybe dynamic photographs is where it'll like really pick up, right? Because photographs right now, especially for product sites and things, are still pretty generic, pretty just regular product shots. But if you have a site that you know does great splashes of color, it'd be great to see. The article goes on and on. Illustrations and infographics will be better or dominate, I hope. And yeah, I would say read the rest of the 18 or so, actually more, 20 or more points that we'll look to see. And Terry, what do you think? Well, what do you think? Are you hopeful for next year? Do you see big changes coming?
Yeah, I think what word comes to mind is being experimental. I think a lot of
Mm,
designers are going to be a lot more bolder um, because when people start to interview, right, and then as you were saying, like how can it be different, right? So I think they're going to take a lot more risk, and I think that's very exciting because I think number 14 is going to be very interesting because it says here the physical and digital realms are intertwining because but the transition between worlds isn't seamless, especially where screens are involved. So I think it will get more seamless with everything because a lot of designers are doing a lot more animation and bringing that in, and and there's where like voice and chatbots and AIs, and I think it's just going to be a lot more intensive
hmm
of where that blending is actually happening. So I think it's going to be the start of it, and you and I, we need to hop on that train and to understand, you know, uh, to be perfectly blunt and frank.
I wonder if You know, definitely a trend that I see a lot is the emergence of these uh, Bluetooth AirPods, right? These little earbuds in your ear that are not chained to anything, and so people tend to just leave them in there. And so I have definitely had several interactions with people to just have their earbuds in. They're hopefully they're not listening to anything else and just listening to me. But if we get used to people constantly having these earbuds in their ear, then I definitely can see voice uh, being more dominant, right? Because you want to interact with your devices and you want them to talk to you and stuff, but you don't want everybody to hear, and you don't want to just be like you, it would be great to have that interaction but in private. And so if you can hear your device talking to you in your earbuds, um, through your AirPods, then yeah, maybe you can have that conversation, and then it's always with you, so you're just on your way, and you're like commuting, you're hanging out, and you're just easily it's more easier to talk to your device. I know even if I have my phone, like I don't know, I always feel like since I don't like to use Siri on my um on my iPhone, I like to use the assistant, the Google Assistant. But even if that's the case, it always takes forever just to get there. And, so I don't know. Maybe if there's an easier way, if there's an easier way to interact with your devices, it seems like I feel like that trend would be great.
Yeah, and another thing regarding with voice, either with Alexa or the Google Home or any kind of voice application, it's gonna make your children, your husband or wife, whoever it is, to actually speak clearly and don't mumble and
Yeah.
actually pronounce the words. So I think that's kind of cool. We will have better, better English or better sounding, so we can enunciate and take our time at a good pace and not just rush, 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 rush. I
hmm
think.
And also, I don't know. I also feel like privacy is going to be such a weird thing next year as well. You
Yeah,
know,
and
with
data.
Yeah, because like, with GDPR, right? Now all these sites are asking you about their cookie policy, and some let you opt out. I think you're pretty sure you're able to opt out um, on a couple of these. And if that's the case, then the ability to track these users, like becomes a lot harder. And so what's going to happen because of that? Right? I don't like how does our future how does our what's our mobile experience going to look like when you're not allowed to have these cookies to track you, and but they still want to track you. And so what are they doing? Right? So that part is going to be a little interesting to figure out, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be I could definitely see a situation where a bunch of companies getting slapped on the wrists because they're trying different things, and they're like, oops, you caught us. Right? Like they're like tracking you through your wearable, they're tracking you through this thing because you clicked on your email. That meant that they can track your whole site, or your whole usage forever. So
Mm-hmm.
I could definitely see that being an issue next year.
Yeah, could be. It's just, it's like the wild, wild west, but not being the wild, wild west.
Yeah. And also too, like I feel like you know, you mentioned how we're going to be more experimental, and I hope so, but I kind of feel too like that there's a lot of companies that are still that I'm worried that they're not accessible, right? That they're not compliant. And so I still kind of feel like there's going to be like um a needing to withhold design and be less bold, because everyone's going to want to try to be more accessible and not get in trouble. And so I wonder if that's still going to continue to be the trend, and all the sites are going to be more and more the same. And what if like every site just is that way now? And like
Yeah,
they'll have great images and great illustrations, but everything else it'll be you know as the similar to every other site, as possible. So we'll see. I mean, next year seems like it'll be definitely such a weird one. I don't know. It just feels so weird to me. Um, Not as hopeful, more worried, I guess.
we're worried. Great.
Yeah. Anyway,
2020 is going to be a worry year. We don't want to have a worry year. We want, we want to have 2020 to be bold. We want 2020 to have people to go out there, reach their goals, and just do the damn thing and
yeah.
just make. And you know what? If you foobar, you foobar. Who gives a rat
hmm
butterbutt, right? Uh, sorry,
Okay.
I want to say another word, but I can't say another word. So butterbutt came up. And just make. And if your designs looks like crap, well, you improve them. You just keep making them and just improving as much as you can, because that's how you learn. And
Hmm.
it's like drawing, right? I mean, I want to work on my drawings, but like I didn't have time. But now it's like, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna draw whatever my kids like at that time. So that's what I've been doing. It's like, oh, I can actually draw a Pikachu, or basically I can draw one of the Paw Patrol's characters, or whatever. It's my first time drawing them, so it's like, huh. Then it came out too bad. I mean, maybe the face is kind of off, a little bit, but who cares? Just practice.
Yeah.
So
Well, anyway, that was looking at the future design trends of 2020. And for our listeners, what are your design trends? What are you hoping to see next year? What are you hoping not to see? Let us know. Send us an email at ramblingsofdesignerpod@gmail.com or go to our Facebook page. Look for Ramblings of Designer on Facebook and leave us a comment.
yeah, or you can find us on Twitter or anything like that. But anyway, somebody did respond to me, and we have the question of the week. And this
Okay.
is from Micah M. And Micah says, "Hi, everybody." Or actually, no, I'm sorry. "Hi, everyone. I want to have some advice on the average hourly rate for freelancing." So now Micah is wondering how much to charge for freelancing. So I have my thoughts, but this story was way back in the day when I went to graduate school, because I started to do some freelance work, and I asked one of my professors how much they would charge for, and his advice is, well, when you go out to dinner, right? You pick a dinner and then you double that price. So it's like, well, my dinner average is like what, $17, 17 to 18, 20, right? So, and then if I double that, that's like $40 an hour. It's like, oh, well, that's not too bad. So, so that's what I've been based off of my work when I started to freelance. How about you, Adam? Any thoughts?
I would say what you should do and what you'll probably do. So what you should do is price by what you need. How much do you need, right? So what you should do is get a whole get out your pencil and paper or your Excel spreadsheet and do a whole cost analysis of what you need, right? What are your expenses? How much money do you need to save? And then break that down into an hourly rate, right? What's your overhead? What is how much are you trying to save? Yada yada yada. Put that down, and then you have an hourly rate. The problem with that is that um, your hourly rate at that point is probably going to be like $200 an hour. Like that's because that's what you need, right? And so it'll probably will be an amount that will be unrealistic to some that it'd be hard to get that rate, right? Because it's always hard to get what the actual price we're trying to get to. So then what you should do is do a little homework on job boards. And then you're gonna find a bunch um, of looking positions looking for contract UX designers or just designers, right? These contract rates are usually what clients are looking to spend with their ballpark, right? So if they're looking for somebody at 65 an hour, then you kind of do that. Although I would mention too that how it kind of works too is most job seekers they're going through a how do you say it? They're going through a recruiter, right? Like that's a company that finds UX designers and then or finds designers and they'll hire you and give that contract out, and so they'll have their commission on top. And so I would say, find the hourly rate that on that job board, include like another, you know 10-20%, and maybe that should be what your rate is. I
Cool.
always kind of feel too that, like, you whatever you have a feeling in yourself too of what you feel like you deserve, and I don't know, I kind of feel like that's also a good a just like a good measurement too, right? Because if you're just starting a freelance, you don't know, right? You're kind of you're learning as well. And so if you feel like, you know $20 an hour, well, maybe not $20, but if you feel like $85 an hour just feels right, then just go ahead and do it, right? Like, you'll either get it or you won't. But the price that you kind of feel is also kind of where you feel like your skills are as well. And so I would say you have th- four different options right there. Pick one of them and try it out and check, right? If you feel like you're not getting work, lower it a little bit. If you feel like you're getting too much work, raise it up.
Yeah, I think that is very wise advice. And going to, if you're like really really new, like Adam said, I always like to put like a range. If somebody says, oh, so how much do you charge? Oh, I charge, at the low end around 27, and then more on the high end could be like 35 or 36, right? So it's like, oh, okay, it's a little over 25, but then again, it's not 30, right? It's like right kind of in the middle. So I mean, it sounds high, but not high enough, but it sounds a little lower than just
Yeah.
saying 25, right? Because you get that extra like $1.50 or a $2 or something. So that's what I did when I you know started. He goes, yeah, even though my professor said, you know double of the lunch, but back in the day the lunch was like $12. It's not like how much it is now. So like I started like at $27 an hour, just you know whatever, and it seemed to work out. So, but then again, prices were a little cheaper back then. Now prices like triple the amount. So,
Hmm.
maybe you can start at 30, or 28, 27, 28, or 30. And just,
Also,
and just give them a range between 30 and 35.
yeah, yeah, I also forgot to mention too that it also, it depends on the situation, right? Like, I didn't even consider who the client is, right? Are these big clients that you have the ability to freelance with, or are they small businesses, or are they, just like solopreneurs? That's also going to affect the price too, right? I'm not going to charge those people the same. I'm going to have like Terry mentioned, a range. And most likely for somebody um that is like just starting out too, or like a not for profit or something, then yeah, maybe I'll go a little cheaper. Or if the person's a headache to work with, or I feel like it's going to be a struggle, then I'm going to charge like 2,000 an hour.
Oh my God, if you charge 2,000 an hour, then you must be pretty darn good.
It's not how good you are, it's how good you can sell. No.
Ooh, Adam with sales.
No, I've never gotten a 2,000 an hour job, or nor will I ever. But yeah.
That's funny. That is funny. Yeah, but Micah, that was a great question, and definitely let us know how much everybody else is charging. But also too, when you do charge and when you do get a gig, make sure you have a contract, and
Oh
that
yeah, for
contract
sure.
says you're gonna have 50% up front, or even one third. And definitely have milestones and payment while you get the information. So therefore, you don't get screwed because I've gotten that plenty of times.
For sure, you definitely
Yeah.
need to have a script, a contract. Just there's always something that'll happen, or most of the time it goes smoothly. But for those times where it doesn't, um, you need to have a document that makes sure it says everything. You're like, look, this is what we agreed on. This is what we agreed on the deliverable. This is the time frame. You need to have those key things down packed because you can't have a situation where a client will be like, "Well, you said you were going to do this whole website." Like, wait, 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 wait. The contract says I'm only doing wireframes, and it's like I'm not developing the whole thing. Like, well, no, you said you would. Well, you know, so when there's ever any question of what might happen, if there's any, and just to cover your butt, just to cover their butt, um, get a contract, write it up.
Yes. And where can I get that contract? Do you have a website that you went to?
Um,
LegalZoom, right?
yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. I did go to I if you go to LegalZoom, they have a whole mess of while I did that to start my to start an LLC, but once you kind of first signed up for it, they have a section where they have a bunch of different contracts for any sort of situation. You could check if it's accessible right then and there, and you could get a bunch of templates where you can edit off of and then go from there. So yeah, yeah, try LegalZoom.
Cool. So, yeah, let us know if you guys have any wins about contracting and a lot of fail failures, which that's fine as well because you just don't. Everything is about learning and just getting better, right? That's what I like to say.
Yeah.
Definitely. So, Adam, is that all for now? Any more about the contracting?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, if you have any follow-up questions, definitely let us know. We'll definitely expand on what we said.
Yeah, it sounds good. Okay, so Adam, so where can they find you at?
You can find me on Twitter at Adan Cepeda. That's AdanZepeda. And you can find me on Instagram at adanz.designs with an S. And hit me up, send me emails, send uh, our podcast an email at ramblingsofadesignerpod@gmail.com. And yeah, what about you, Terry? Where can we find you?
You can definitely find me on Twitter. Handle name is Flaccid Inc. And find me on Insta. It's flaccidinc.designs. And you can find me on TikTok, which is Flaccid Inc. And LinkedIn, everybody has been able to find me there. That's the most place that people, it's like, hey, 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 which is really cool. Really, really cool. So, anyways, I think that's it for this week. And before we head off, happy holidays and Mele Kalikimaka. That means Merry Christmas in Hawaiian. And yeah, Adam.
That's it. See you all next week.
Okay,
Have a great
aloha
Christmas year and holiday season
and happy
and
Hanukkah too.
all the great things.
Yeah,
Okay, bye.
bye.